Hello guys, today we're going to present you the 33 events that had huge influences to the Great War in 1940. In each event, we're going to break down to 4 main points, which are actors, brief explanation of what happened, the cause of the events, and lastly the consequences of that particular event. Okay, so let's begin. The first alliance can be seen in 1879 when Germany and Austria-Hungary came together and formed the alliance system. The reason behind the event is the geographical location and the same cultural aspects, and also creating the balance of power against the Russian. In 1882, Italy joined the alliance, which caused the Triple Alliance to be formed, mainly because Italy was kicked out from Tunis' economic activities by the French. Speaking about Africa, the European nations were having lots of disputes against each other over the border in Africa. So in 1884, the Conference of Berlin came with the purpose of peaceful partitions of Africa, but at the end of the day, the conflict still remains since then. 3 years later, though, the Mediterranean Agreement was conducted to stop the French expansion in Africa and the Russian interference in the Balkans, but the agreement was too broad to achieve any significant changes. In 1890, Germany wanted to make a deal with Britain by recognizing the British authority in Zanzibar, in which Germany is hoping for Heligoland to be returned to Germany. In this treaty, Germany also wanted to ally herself with Britain, but it did not happen so. However, in 1894, there was a successful negotiation between France and Russia, which caused the Franco-Russian alliance to be formed, mainly to balance the powers against the Triple Alliance. At this particular time, Britain still was not interested in joining the alliance. Since Britain and France were still not get comfortable with each other, we can observe in the events of the Siam crisis in 1893 and the Fush Soda incidents in 1898, where stress between two nations can be obviously seen. Moving to the Far East, the Sino-Japanese War ended with the Treaty of Shimonoseki in 1895. The treaty showed how weak China was and how strong was Japan, and due to the annexation of Fujian province, it got into issue with the Russian as well. At this point, the United States decided to halt the Japanese expansionist ideology. Therefore, right after the American-Spanish War, the Treaty of Paris was signed to transfer Puerto Rico and also Spanish Pacific territories to create pressures against Japan. And also in 1899, the US wanted to improve relationship with the Britain and Germany, so the US voluntarily became the middleman of the Samoa Agreement to help with the partitions of Samoa Islands in 1899. At this point, the world realized how many disputes there are and came up with the Hague Peace Conference in 1899. Some tried raising the topic of military increment, but the proposal failed, so the conference did not really improve anything. However, 1 month later, the world came up yet again with the General Act regarding the military concern, law and disputes, and was signed by 26 powers around the world. 1 year after what was supposed to be a peace conference, conflict broke out yet again in China, the Boxer Rebellion so-called. This conflict involved all European powers, including the USA and Japan, all just to kick the Boxer out and weakening China through occupation and repellation costs. In 1902, Britain got along much better with Japan and formed the Anglo-Japanese Alliance. Both sides got benefits since Japan will have support against the Russian pressure, while Britain wanted to rearrange Chinese political structure. In 1904, Russo-Japanese War broke out. The Britain and France realized that they are on the different side due to the previous agreements, So they decide to create another alliance called the Entente Caudale, so two nations can stay neutral if the warring countries called for help. During the Russo-Japanese War, there was an incident between Russia and Japan, so-called Docker Bank incident in 1904, where Russian Navy shot down British fishing fleet. Britain could have joined the war, but they decided to have a peaceful approach instead. 1 year later, the war ended with the Treaty of Portsmouth, with the involvement of the US as the mediator. After the event, Japan became the regional power, and the US began its role of interventionist. In that year, there was an attempt to form the German-Russian alliance. This alliance had its purpose of persuading France to join German ally, but the German-Russian alliance was never created since Russia still needs financial aid from France. In 1905, Germany supported Morocco in independence, causing international attention and challenged French influences in Morocco. But since Entente Caudale exists, Britain came and helped France out pretty well by conducting Algeciras conference over Morocco. The result was a huge humiliation of Germany. This conference also provided more French and Spanish influences in Morocco as well through the General Act. In 1907, the Hague Conference was conducted yet again. The process of this conference was the limitation in naval warfare and the price called establishment. In 1907, the Britain decided to resolve the Anglo-Russian disputes in Central Asia through Anglo-Russian Convention. This convention gave a peaceful partition over Persia and significantly improved Anglo-Russian relations. In 1908, things went south quickly as Austria-Hungary constructed railway into the Balkans and began its influences campaign in Bosnia. As a result, Britain and Russia protested the action, creating more pressures within the region. In 1911, the intensity increased as the Second Morocco Crisis happened. Germany accused France of violating the Algeciras agreements as Germany observed the potential of French troops in the region. As a result of compensation, France ceded Cameroon to Germany. In return, Germany left every claims in Morocco. And then we arrive at 1940. Austrian-Hungarian Empire sent the ultimatum to Serbia, but Serbia declined. Austria was ready for war, but right before the declaration of war, Archduke Franz Ferdinand, the Austrian heir, was assassinated in Sarajevo. Right after the assassination, Austria-Hungary confirmed its support from ally Germany through blank check events, referring to the blank response of Serbia. As the result, the full-scale war started on August 1940. And that is it. I hope you enjoyed the videos. Those are the events that made up the Great War as we knew it today. I hope you have a brief idea of how many conflicts were there before the Great War, which has huge influences to the First World War. And that is it. So enjoy the rest of your day and bye bye.